Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Going through the devotionals, and today we're going to be in Mark 3, starting in verse 20. And this whole week we've been looking at kind of building up on the last two Sundays what Hans and I have preached on. Hans preached last week about Jesus being Emmanuel, God with us, and that he is perfection. And we looked at how we can be perfect too by simply allowing him to be with us, because he is omnipresent and everywhere at all times. He's all powerful, that by simply allowing him into your life, you can be perfect as well. And so this week I've been looking at what that looks like. You know, everyone's life, it looks a little different when we let this Emmanuel, God with us, into our lives. But it helps to see accounts of him working in other people's lives powerfully, so that we can look at our own lives and talk to him about that, engage ourselves. And so I'm going to be in Mark 3, and we're looking at Mary's life. And so on Monday we looked at Jesus. When Jesus comes into our lives, he asks for our bodies, and in a way he breaks them, but also offers us a new resurrected body. The day before, yesterday, we looked at our plans and our dreams, and how he looked at Mary and how Mary's expectations of him becoming a king, and how she misunderstood his plans to become a king, and how we all misunderstand Jesus' plans in our lives. But that's okay, because his plan is unfolding before us right here. And so I want to continue to move on and look at him confronting our ideas and our definitions of right and wrong, which affect the way we live. And so, again, Mary, yesterday we looked at John 2, and Jesus at the wedding of Cana, and Mary just misunderstanding him and his kingship and what he's doing. And so we're going to continue on that story where the misunderstanding between her and him will actually grow and mount, and it actually reaches a climax here in Mark 3. And I read this account on Sunday as well, but I'm actually going to move this over just a little bit. Okay. There we go. Get a better signal that way. So, Mark 3, morning Beth. This is Jesus. So Jesus heads to his hometown, and a crowd gathered again so that they could not even eat. And when Jesus' family heard it, they went out to seize him, for they were saying, "He is out of his mind." And his mother and his brothers came, and standing outside, they sent to him and called him. And a crowd was sitting around him, and they said to him, Your mothers and your brothers are outside seeking you." And he answered them, "Who are my mother and my brothers?" And he looked about at those who sat around them, and he said, "Here are my mother and my brothers. For whoever does the will of God, he is my brother and my mother." And so when we look at this, we realize not only does Jesus confront our plans and our expectations, but he also confronts our definitions. And Mary comes for him and says, you're not being the king I want. We talked about that yesterday. And she said, everyone says, here's your family's here. And we're a pretty independent culture. We're very individualistic. We value the individual, and so this isn't as earth-shattering for us as it is for them. But Jesus is colliding with a fundamental understanding of right and wrong in Mary's life. And he draws a stark line. He says, you think it's based off of blood. This is based off of whoever does the will of my Father And what he's saying is, you're not doing the will of my Father right now. I think it's important to notice that he's not rejecting her, but he's rejecting her ideas, and it's painful. So Mary, at this moment, loses, essentially because of him breaking her definition and confronting her definition, she loses her family. She loses her right to define right and wrong, because she wants Jesus. She wants to be with Jesus. But in wanting to be with him, she's caught in this reality. And so here Mary is standing outside of the crowd, unable to get in. And she's unable to bring him back. And he's bluntly redefined it, like I said. Who is my family? Whoever does the will of my Father in heaven. This is really challenging. One of something that really I experienced this. I was back in college back in 2006 and 2007, and back then I was incredibly liberal, and I don't say that in a demeaning kind of way, but basically on every political topic, I just swung liberal. You name it. And I still professed half-heartedly that Jesus was Lord. And when I went to college, I remember going to college and I prayed to God that he would give me a good roommate. Selfishly, because I just knew I had to spend time with them. But he actually gave me two roommates, John Engel and Jacob Johnson, and they were a delight to be with. And they were both from the South, and they would stay up way too late arguing and talking, and a lot of stuff they debated on biblical ideas. And one time they were talking about homosexuality. Again, I'm super liberal. I grew up around homosexual people. A lot of friends of mine were, and John Engel asked me after him and Jacob had argued for a bit, and just to be upfront, like John Engel actually finally came out of the closet and was acknowledged that he was gay, and he lives with a man in New York now. And so I really care for this person. He's an amazing person, but he called me out. He said, "Hey, what do you think?" And I was like, "Well, I don't feel like God would tell constrain people if they love someone and wanted to be with them." And again, John just said, "Well, it says this in the scriptures, so how are you going to deal with that?" And in that moment, it was something inexplicable happened. I just felt like he threw something past all my defenses, and I was just awoken, because I realized I felt kind of like Mary in that moment, where I realized if it's in the Bible, why would I immediately dismiss it? I realized I had taken Jesus' right to define things for me, because I didn't like what he was saying, and I didn't think it was right, and I thought he was hurting people, and I wasn't even open to the idea that God may not agree with me because I didn't like it. And I felt in that moment like I was standing outside the crowd, and I felt like I was unable to get back in, and that the Bible was clear, and I didn't like it, and it felt insulting, and it felt painful. And in this moment, that's kind of like that topic is really not appropriate in our culture. In the same way with Mary, Jesus confronting the family is really confronting, and it challenges. And the answer that I finally gotten, and this is ridiculous if you don't believe in Jesus, the issue and topic of homosexuality is really insulting, and I totally get that. But if you do believe in Jesus and you struggle with this concept, I don't think the liberals or the conservatives have the answer. The conservatives say, well, they can become straight. I think maybe, but I don't actually agree with that. And then the liberals are saying, well, the interpretation is wrong and they should be able to do whatever they want. My favorite answer to that is Sam Alberry, a gay minister, a gay celibate minister who professes to being gay, said, I was coming out of the closet at the same time that I was discovering who Jesus was, and he was falling in love with Jesus while realizing he was gay, And he said, you know what? Jesus Christ is the only real, most beautiful human being I've ever met in my entire life. And if Jesus can live his life being straight, being celibate, and he is the most beautiful human being, and he's the most ultimate of what it means to be human, then by not being in a sexual relationship, I can still be even more human by being with Jesus, which again feels so stark, so jarring, so unbelievable. The same way when Jesus confronts Mary about her family, he says, hey, you're living for just your family. My kingdom is anyone who does the will of my Father. It just destroys her reality. And my question for you and me is this: is Jesus challenging you in your life right now? Because if he's not, and I said this on Sunday, you might be worshiping a figment of your imagination. And when my roommate John Engel confronted me about this idea, and I had to wrestle with it for years and years, and continue to wrestle with lots of ideas, this actually showed me, though, that I was interacting with a real person. And that is a sign of true faith, is that when you collide with Jesus' ideas to define right and wrong with yours, and you realize that perhaps maybe there's a different right and wrong. And so when we allow this Emmanuel into our lives and we make room for him, we allow him the right to redefine things for us. And it may take years. We may have to struggle and wrestle with him for years, but realize this is a part of us making room for him. And so and it's really actually interesting that my friend John confronted me about sexuality, because Sam Albury, the gay priest, will say, everyone's sexually broken. Sex does not complete us, but being with Jesus Christ in an intimate, joyous relationship completes us. And that has actually been really healing for me as someone who's a recovering sex addict. So, here's Jesus, and we stand outside calling to him, and he stands inside calling to us. And I'll read what I read every day, which is, the reality is, when we try to make room for Jesus, our reality can't make room for him in our lives because he is too big. He is perfection, and in his reality is greater than ours. And he's right here with you and me. And if we open ourselves to him, he will break our little self-centered, scared reality and pull us into a reality that is so vast, so infinite, so beautiful, that the current sufferings of this world, and I would even say the current definitions of this world, cannot compare to the joy that is set before us, which is him. And so today, my prayer for you and me would be to just humbly and honestly realize there are many aspects of our lives where we stand outside. We stand outside calling to Jesus, and it's just not who he is, and we don't even realize it. And let's just have the courage to realize that we stand outside, but it's okay. He has not rejected us. He loves us, and he is calling us into a courageous faith where he challenges our understandings of right and wrong, and really ultimately love for him and love for others. And it'll be beautiful. It'll be really challenging. It's dark, and the world may think we're insulting and off-arm rockers and unloving, but Jesus is love, Jesus is truth, Jesus is perfection, and he's right here with us. So Jesus, I just pray you are the most perfect human being to ever live, and you are the most fulfilled human being to ever live. And you redefined sexuality, and you redefined family, and you redefined intimacy and truth and what is right and wrong. May we have the courage to allow you to challenge our definitions of family and sexuality and right and wrong, because you're here right with us, and we are the object of your desire. And so we give ourselves to you in this day. In your name we pray. Amen. I know I was kind of rambly. Sorry about that. But hope you have a great day. And we got one more devotional tomorrow before Christmas. So, see you guys tomorrow. All right.